I got a classic for you called Devil in a Blue Dress. Got Denzel Washington in it. 1995 gangster shit. So we got this dude by the name of Easy, right? He just came from the war. He talks about knowing this dude by the name of Mouse, who was basically his right-hand man at one point. Now, he comes from Texas, but he's living in California right now. Now, Easy's looking for work because he recently just got laid off for like the last couple of weeks. He needs some money to pay off his mortgage because he's been late by like almost 2 months on this shit. So he's supposed to be friends with this dude by the name of Joppy, right? And then comes in this guy by the name of Mr. Albright. Boy. Albright wants to hook Easy up with a job. He's like, what do you do? He's like, yeah, I do favors for people. Anybody say some shit like that, you already know what time it is. Easy goes back to his house to think over this proposition. At the same time, you got this one guy in the neighborhood that's always trying to chop down trees. He's like, yo, stop cutting down people's trees. I don't even know the reason why he does it. It's just so weird. So Easy meets up with Albright, and he basically has a mission. He's got to find this chick named Daphne. Daphne was eventually supposed to be Todd's fiance. Todd is the mayor of the city. The thing is, she's been missing for like the last 2 weeks. And Albright's going to hire Easy to find her. He pays him money up front, and he's going to give him some more money when he gets information and shit, right? So they said the last place he was seen at, whatever like that, is Joppy's club. So that's why Albright went to Easy about it. Goes to the club, meets up with a couple people. And he also meets up with 2 other people, Gus and Coretta. They're both a happy married couple. Now, nobody really knows anything about Daphne except for Coretta. And Coretta keeps giving Easy the sexy eyes. You're like, all right, we already know what she's trying to do. But I'm like, your husband's right there. Like, really? So Gus gets drunk. They got to carry him back to the house. She talks about how Gus had lost his job recently or whatever like that. And she's been taking care of the house. She basically gives him some information, but she want to get a cheeks clap first. I'm like, what the fuck? The husband's in the next room next door. He's pretty much passed out. He's going to be passed out till the morning. So Easy ends up giving her the business. Easy. Then she tells her she been hanging around some dude by the name of Frank. And that he lives at like Skylar Apartments or something like that, right? So that day Lees goes back to the house, automatically gets a call for Albright, telling him to meet up at this pier or whatever. So Easy ends up going to this pier, then this white girl by the name of Barbara starts talking to him or whatever like that. And basically she was just trying to get away from some people and start talking about the ocean and whatnot. These supposed friends find her and then they try to start trouble and start beef. Then Albright comes out of nowhere with the pistols like, ayo, fall back, nigga. Smacks him around and tells him to get up out of here. Then Easy gives him the information about Frank Green and all that. He gets some more money, and he says he'll be in touch with him later. Next thing we know, next morning, Easy gets back to the house. All of a sudden, these 2 cops arrest him and just take him out of jail. So we think to ourselves, what the heck is going on here? They ask him all these questions, roughing him up, and we're like, yo, what the heck is going on? And as the officers are talking, we find out Coretta's actually done Deal Daddy's shit. We're like, what? Now we think to ourselves, who killed Coretta? So afterwards, they let him go. And as he's walking down the street, this car stops him. Dude tells him gets in the car. And who's in the car? This dude by name Michael Terrell. Michael is another guy that's running for mayor. Apparently, he was trying to figure out some information too, because he was real close with Coretta. But nothing really came of it, and he just dropped him off. Then he gets a phone call at the house. Guess who calls? It's actually Daphne. We're like, what? How did she even get his number? She tells him to meet him at this hotel or whatever like that, right? But she's got to have a doorman sneak him around the back because that part of the hotel is only for whites only, right? And he gets to her room, we finally see her. Is she the devil in a blue dress? Well, she's wearing a blue dress. So they're basically trying to get to know each other or whatever like that. And she can't really explain the reason why she's gone into hiding. I'm thinking probably because she won't get killed. Now the thing with Daphne is she also sent out this important letter. Not really sure what it's about yet. Now she needs Easy to take her to Todd, but first she's got to go to this dude by the name of Richard. I guess he's supposed to be withholding the evidence or something like that, right? So they drive over to Richard's place, but his place been trashed and torn up. And I mean, like, oh snap. They go to another room and see Richard done Deal Daddy shit. Daphne got so spooked she got in the car and just dipped off. Easy had to find his way back home. When he gets back home, Albright and his boys are already in his house. He's in his house making sandwiches and shit. It gets to a point where Easy's starting to catch on a little bit. So Albright threatens him to tell them the information that he's got so far. Because they know he apparently seen Daphne. Then they dip out. So at this point, Easy's going to need some help. So basically he's going to call reinforcements. He's going to call his boy Mouse. And at this point, he's about to make his way to Todd Carter to see him or whatever. Now, apparently, Easy had heard that Todd was the one that was supposed to hire Albright, to find Daphne or whatever like that. But Todd never even knew who Albright was. So basically, Albright lied to him. Yeah, Albright's basically on some hitman shit. But Todd's basically going to pay Easy $1,000 to find Daphne and the letter. Whatever's in this letter. Afterwards, he ends up going to Joppy because he feels like Joppy set him up and shit. Then Joppy talks Easy down or whatever like that. And it's just wild. So then he starts looking for this dude, Frank Green. You know what I'm saying? He's been asking all around town about this guy. Can't nobody tell him nothing. Apparently, he was some type of gangster that used to work for Albright or something like that. But I'm not really sure if he worked for him. He was just supposed to be a gangster or whatever. But he used to handle liquor. So basically, he was going to like all the liquor stores trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, if they knew anything about Frank. Nobody knew nothing. He gets back to the house. All of a sudden, somebody's swinging a hammer at him. Turns out it's Frank. They're battling back and forth in the house. And right when Frank was about to get him done deal, Mouse pounds out of nowhere with the piece. He's like, hey, sit your goofy ass down. Mouse played by Don Cheadle. Let me tell you, this nigga is very quick to pull the fucking trigger. He has a very, very short fuse. But the thing is, Easy doesn't want him dead. He needs him alive so they can find Daphne. So as they're trying to straighten this situation out, somebody calls, Mouse picks up the phone, and he says, no, we're busy right now, hangs up the phone. Don't ask me how, but somehow Frank ends up getting away. Because Mouse out of nowhere just shoots him in his shoulder. I'm like, what? The crazy thing, when Easy asks Mouse who called or whatever like that, he says some white girl or whatever like that. Turns out it was Daphne. Now, you're probably just thinking to yourself, why can't just call back? This is back in the day. There was no caller ID, no, star 69, none of that shit. So afterwards, Mouse ends up dipping off. He going to a certain spot or whatever like that. He'll probably meet him up there later. All of a sudden, the boys come back again and start pestering Easy. Now they think he had something to do with 2 dead bodies. So bottom line is they about to take him in. But he's like, look, man, let me find some evidence for you. You know what I'm saying? So that was basically able to buy Easy some time. Like, he literally has until the next day. He goes around town trying to get information, can't find nothing. He comes back to the house thinking that he missed a call or whatever like that, but it turns out Daphne is already in his house. And we find out Frank is not a side piece. He's actually her brother. Frank is black and Daphne's white, supposedly. This will make sense when we figure out what's in that letter. So before he even meets up with Daphne again, he ends up linking up with Mouse. He's trying to put all these clues together to figure out who killed Richard. So the thing about Richard, at the beginning, he was coming into the shop or whatever like that, right? I was ran by this dude named Owen. So now he's thinking to himself, Owen had Richard killed. But it was all a bluff for Owen to give us some information. Because Easy knew Owen had nothing to gain by killing Richard. Then he goes over to meet over with Gus. They get a bunch of drinks and they start talking about Corletta. We find out apparently Daphne and Corletta were kind of like best friends. He said something about Corletta used to always carry this Bible around. And he's like, wait a minute. Mouse and Gus ended up getting drunk and passing out, right? Easy searching all over the house looking for the Bible. He finds the Bible, and the Bible is a letter. This is where we find out Albright has been working for Michael Terrell. Why? Because this letter's got some incriminating evidence in it, and it also has pictures. And these are basically pictures of Daphne's family that are also being linked to Tyrell. The thing is, he's not white. He's half white and half black. If this stuff got out, not only would it mess up his campaign election, he'd probably be disgraced in the town and would probably have a lot of enemies. Now all this is leading back up to where he's talking to Daphne in the house again. All of a sudden, Albright and his men come busting through the house and beat up on Easy, and then they take Daphne. And they're basically trying to get the pictures. They don't even know that Easy has the pictures. The thing is, they leave him alive. Why? Because they want him to take the fall for Richard and Coletta's death. And he also finds out Jaffe was the one that actually killed Richard. So who killed Coletta? It's probably Albright and them niggas. So Easy goes up in the spot and pretty much takes Jaffe at gunpoint. And he tells him about this cabin that they probably took Daphne at. So to get to this cabin, Easy tells Mouse to watch Jaffe while he goes up to the cabin and checks out the area. Now, as impulsive as Mouse is, I don't think that's a good idea. Even when he woke him up when he was drunk, he was still pointing guns at niggas. He was like, dude, like, chill. Mouse has no chill. So he gets to the cabin, sees everybody in there, and Albright's about to torture with a branding iron. And then the guns get to blazing. They get to shooting. Mouse comes out of nowhere and done deals all of them. Like, okay, Daphne's still alive. And Albright is done deal dead as shit. So he goes back to the car, was like, where's Joffrey? Mouse is like, he's over there. He's in the bushes, done deal dead as shit. He's like, yo, I told you not to kill him, yo. Like, no, you told me not to shoot him. I just choked him a little bit. I'm like, nigga. So at this point, Easy was supposed to get like $7,000 to get the pictures back or whatever. But Daphne ended up going to the secret stash box or whatever like that. Turns out she had like $30,000 in that joint. She ended up giving Easy like half of it. But basically, she was using that money to get out of town. Todd wanted her to stay, but she couldn't. He thinks Easy gives him an extra $800. But Todd didn't know about the stash. And Todd's also going to make sure the police stay off his damn back. Mouse ended up dipping out the next day. Mouse came to chill with his friend and get some easy money. So basically, Todd got the pictures. He's still mayor. Terrell dropped out of the race altogether. And everything's all hunky-dory in the world of Easy. Next door neighbor's still trying to chop down damn trees. Man, this movie was wild. Devil in a Blue Dress on Netflix. Check it out.